we chose to do our video assignment on photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process of converting light energy into chemical energy. This energy can later be used to fuel cellular processes. The reaction for photosynthesis is as follows. 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 water molecules yields glucose and 6 oxygen molecules. Plants take in water from their roots and carbon dioxide through their leaves. Photosynthesis is responsible for sustaining all life on the planet as it provides the oxygen that we need to breathe and the food that we eat. A common misconception is that photosynthesis is only done by plants, but it is actually done by bacteria and algae as well. In this diagram, we can see the interior of a plant cell. We can see the intracellular organelles, including the chloroplast. Here we can see the inside of a chloroplast. It contains 6 different components, but the thylakoid and the stroma are the main sites for photosynthesis. Thylakoids are commonly found in stacks as shown here. These are called granum stacks. The stroma is the fluid that surrounds these granum stacks. Photosynthesis consists of 2 types of reactions, light reactions and dark reactions. The light reactions take place in the thylakoid, and the dark reactions take place in the stroma.
In the light reaction, light and water are essential components that must be present in order for the reaction to take place. The light enters 2 different locations during this reaction. There are proteins with chlorophyll inside of it considered to be called a photosystem. The first is called photosystem 2, and this one is called photosystem 1. Light powers the movement of the electron through an electron transport chain, and the electron is moved through proteins, carrier proteins, and it is lastly reached to the NADPH, which is considered to be one of the products of the light-dependent reaction. The water splits right away, which you get oxygen that diffuses out of the cell, known as the oxygen that organisms breathe. Then there are protons, which are hydrogen ions, considered to be atoms that lost their electrons. As the electron moves through the electron transport chain, it moves through proteins, and every time it moves through a proton is pumped inside. Since protons have a positive charge is built in the inside, in which they go through a protein known as ATP synthase. Every time a proton goes through, another ATP molecule is made. In the light-dependent reaction, NADPH and ATP are created, where they sit in the stroma and move on to the Calvin cycle, which is the next step. In the Calvin cycle, the ATP and NADPH are reactants, which provide energy. Also, there is RUBP, which is a 5-carbon molecule, as well as a carbon dioxide molecule that comes through the stomata and it diffuses its way in. There is an enzyme known as ribisco that attaches the carbon dioxide to a 5-carbon molecule and breaks it into 2 3-carbon molecules immediately. And it gets its energy from NADPH and ATP. And when the process is complete, a molecule known as G3P is created, which eventually assembles into glucose, sucrose, or maltose. Some of the G3P is released, and majority of it is used back to make RUBP, in which it's why it's considered a cycle. Without ATP, NADPH, and CO2, this process would shut down.
Without photosynthesis, we wouldn't be able to get the oxygen that we and other living organisms need to survive. Cellular respiration is essentially the reverse of photosynthesis. It's a way of stabilizing the carbon dioxide and oxygen in the atmosphere. Cellular respiration is a process that requires glucose and carbon dioxide that living organisms exhale as a byproduct of metabolic processes. The plant takes in the carbon dioxide through the stomata. It then uses water and the energy from the sun to break up the water and take the electron and hydrogen to perform photosynthesis and release oxygen back into the atmosphere. Humans rely solely on respiration since we aren't able to perform photosynthesis. We eat the plants to get the glucose that we need for energy. Also, through cellular respiration, plants can turn the glucose that they made from photosynthesis and convert it into a form that they can use for other cellular processes, such as seed germination. The glucose that isn't used by the plant is stored in molecules such as starch. Storage is important because a plant can use it for energy during the night when photosynthesis can't occur. Glucose can then be used to produce ATP that we need for other cellular processes in the body. Glucose can also be used to make proteins, can be converted into other sugars, or into cellulose that can be used for the cell wall. Plants are the basis of the food chain, so without plants, other forms of life can't be sustained on Earth.
This concludes our video presentation on photosynthesis. We hope that you learned something new. Thank you.